Welcome back to Is It Country Enough? I'm your host, Silly Silo, and if you're new to this show, welcome. Here at Is It Country Enough, our job is to watch Western films that read Western books, so you don't have to. And for our fans of that Western genre, we'll let you know about the newest Western films that have the hallmark characteristics of the genre. After last week's Flop of a Bucks Inland by Tia Abahart, we got lots of requests to do Paramount's Pictures Rango. Since our staff has considered themselves the spitting image of our iconic Western, the relentless pursuit of the truth, here's our honest opinion of Rango. Before we hit the trail, if you have not yet seen Rango, go watch it and come back so we do not spoil anything, because that's our method of operation around here at Is It Country Enough. To truly examine a work of the Western genre, we must dive into those further details, so a spoiler is absolutely necessary. This movie claims to be a family Western. Let's see if it can stand up to the Western movie standards you and your family need to decide if it fits your family values on your own. Let's begin. Using our list of criteria, this is how our posse of reviewers tallied up the marks for Rango by Paramount Pictures as a Western movie. A pet chameleon falls out of the back of a car and is stranded in the desert. He immediately is introduced to the dangers of living outside of the sheltered aquarium. 1 point for Man vs. Frontier. When he arrives in the town called Dirt, he is introduced to the drought and the townspeople's quest for water. 3 points for Thirst, Stranger in Tiny Towns. Rango goes into the saloon, makes up some stories, gets in some shootouts, and ultimately becomes the town's sheriff. 4 points for saloon, storytelling, shootout, and sheriffs. After that, he goes on a cowboy quest to get some water and battles with the unlawful who are trying to steal the water. 2 points for cowboys and bandits. They fail to get water, and the evil mayor gets a new evil sheriff, and Rango is banned from Dart. 2 points for evil mayor and evil sheriff. While Rango is banned, he comes across the possible spirit of the West and finds the water supply to bring back to the town. 1 point for Spirit of the West. Rango defeats the evil in the town and gets his girl. 2 points for Revenge and Love. Although the reference and the role of the Native Americans was greatly minimized in Rango, the character of Wounded Bird WB represents the indigenous people played in the first Western movies. Wounded Bird WB acts as a guide, sharing his deep understanding of the setting and relationships between characters in subtle ways. The way WB speaks and his clothing are cues that he's a symbolic reference to the role of Native Americans in the Western genre. We here at Is It Country Enough appreciate the positive impact WB has on other characters. Paramount Pictures clearly made an effort to improve on biases about Native Americans typically presented in the Western genre. After a friendly shout-out, Silly Silo and staff could not agree if this move adds or distracts from the Western elements. So therefore 0 points, but a swift slap on the back for effort. Another thoughtful inclusion was a soundtrack. The music makes the audience feel like they're sitting around a campfire sing-along. Viewers can almost imagine a lone cowboy singing and playing a soundful tune, in addition to the slow and repeatable refrains. The fiddle, guitar, and harmonica fit with the music of the genre. Since music is not a characteristic of Western books, our team agreed that no points would be awarded for this thoughtful detail. Again, 0 points, but a second swift slap on the back for including period artistic elements. Additionally, the setting detail included in each scene really helps viewers experience the Wild West. The ever-changing big sky views, sweeping landscapes, and dusty, windswept streets makes this animation feel real. The attention to detail, the subtle reference to the classic Western makes this movie feel even more interesting. For example, Rattlesnake Jake has a series of black, thin scales running across his upper lip, the typical bad guy mustache. This small detail has a big visual impact. Again, 0 points, but a third swift slap on the back for attention to detail. Although Rango sounds like the ultimate Western film, some Western aspects were missing. The person tied to the railroad did not happen unless I sneezed and missed it. Finally, there were no reference to the American Civil War, the Army, or soldiers that your host or his posse of intern sleuths could dig up. That's -2 points. In the country with more than enough meters, Rango scores a 13 on it. Is it country enough? Posse of straight shooting, fast riding, and tight roping reviewers. That's pretty dang good. Let's talk about water. The main reason this film sparked all those comments after last week was because of the intersecting themes. The quest of water. The choice of that animation was a wise one indeed. The animation allows for characters to dramatize thirst in a light-hearted way. This may sound cruel, but it's a family film, isn't it? The audience feels more pulled into the quest of water when the characters are able to be dramatic. The film jokes about thirst, but still revolves the whole plot around finding water, thus maintaining its importance. We have just enough time to address the topic of the most frequent question in the comments from the audience. Listeners repeatedly asked, is Rango the best Western film of our generation? Gen Zs do not have a noteworthy appreciation for the Western genre, but this 2011 film did great in the box office. Why? It is important to have some background knowledge, so here's my little history lesson. During the 1960s, Western films were being produced en masse by large production studios. These films were released one after another. The demand caused them to be low budget. This turn led viewers to become bored with the genre. This is why the decline in Western films after 1960s followed by an incline of quality of the genre as they moved to smaller producing studios after the 1960s. Back to Rango. This is a quality computer-animated film with several notorious voices playing roles. The traditional frontier is modified to make the film feel more relevant to this generation. Older generations likely feel an appreciation for the Western narrative because they have personal experiences to connect them to the genre. A significant modern modification made to the plot of Rango was to flip the human perspective. In this film, it is the impact of humans pressing on the Western frontier that has created the problem central to the plot. Human expansion starts to destroy the frontier. This is more relatable for our generation because we are surrounded by industrial expansion as the human impact expansion has on the natural environment. Thanks for tuning in, and that's all we have time for. Join us next week on Is It Country Enough? And our most-anticipated tribute to our Western author, Louis Amboise.